Hello and welcome to RPG Quest, the podcast where we do not play D&D. And for this series, we are once again venturing into the ancient horrors from beyond space and time as we play Call of Cthulhu. My name is Chris. I'll be your host and GM, or I guess keeper in this case. But as always, the real stars of the show are our players. And playing with me through this little adventure is Panda.
Yeah, I'm Brendan or Panda, and I'll be playing Detective Jack Cassidy.
Yeah. So we'll get into that in a sec. We'll just do a quick little introduction. I do have a bit of a confession to make. Like with this podcast, we're trying out I'm trying out new games. I do have to confess that I have played Call of Cthulhu and run Call of Cthulhu a fair bit before, so it probably is at the moment I would say my favorite system. But what's your experience level with Call of Cthulhu?
I think I've played a one-shot one time, maybe more than a year ago. I've played a lot of games that are similar. I think Vossen is the most recent thing I've played that's somewhat similar, but I'm a noob for Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, perfect. So you're still green, which is good. So for this little adventure, we are doing it as a one-on-one, set in the classic setting, I guess, of most Call of Cthulhu scenarios, which is 1920s America, with Brendan taking on the role of a private eye, right?
Yeah, your general down on his luck, drinks too much, private eye.
So this scenario was called Tell Me, Have You Seen the Yellow Sign? Which I think you can find through... So it's an old adventure that's been repurposed for all the sort of new editions. I think you can find it in a collection of stories all set in New Orleans called Tales of the Crescent City. So, our story begins one evening in New Orleans, Louisiana. The year is 1926, and it's about midnight on a Saturday evening, early in the month of February. It's raining, and up alone in an office somewhere uptown. I say an office, it's more like a tiny apartment that's been converted into an office. But we see a figure on a brown leather couch, trying to get some sleep as the rain pelts across the window. Who do we see exactly on this couch?
We see Jack, who is a late 30s, probably about average height guy. He has brown hair that's untrimmed for quite some time. He probably hasn't shaved in a few days. He's awake as he can't fall asleep, so we can see he has bloodshot eyes. He's likely still a little bit drunk or starting to come off being drunk. He rolls himself a cigarette and sits up, still wearing likely one of only two suits he owns, which is a fairly nice cut suit, just wearing the vest and the pants. But it's seen much better days. It's stained and rumpled. He has not taken the time to keep himself up, and that very much reflects in how he looks. As he sits up and lights his rolled cigarette, looks around for a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, and as you sort of get up from the couch and begin rifling through this apartment, you're going over in your head a conversation you had earlier that day with your friend and I guess now partner, the one who owns this apartment, Ed Roy. Ed Roy is a private detective. I said he's your partner, but it's kind of more like currently he's your boss. He owns the business here, which is the detective agency, and rents the office that you're currently living in while you trying to get yourself together. But since the two of you are old war buddies and, you've been down on your luck, he's basically been treating you like a partner, although you haven't actually worked a case yet here together since he took you on as his second PI. But being the wonderful guy that he is, he did put your name in white paint on the frosted glass of the front door. So it now reads Roy and Cassidy, licensed investigators. The end Cassidy part and the S has been painted on as sort of an afterthought, not quite as nice as craftsmanship as the Roy part, but still, the thought is there. earlier that day, Ed Roy left you with the keys to his black Chrysler and a number where you'd be able to reach him. And, so he was sort of saying, I'm sorry to have to leave you like this, Jackie boy. Unforeseen circumstances and all that, what with Pa passing away. But I don't think I'll be much more in 2 weeks. Planning the funeral, dealing with the estate and whatnot. But like I said, you need anything, I'm just a phone call away.
I'll keep it in mind, Ed. Sorry about your pa. Don't worry, if anything comes across the desk, I'll handle it.
Yeah, maybe keep yourself busy. And hey, chin up. Even if nothing comes through, at least why don't you get out and try and enjoy some of the Mardi Gras while you're here?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll most certainly do that. And
we see you in this office now at night, opening up one of Ed's drawers and pulling out a bottle of fine McClellan whiskey and pouring yourself a little glass of scotch. Give me the first roll. Give me a con roll.
Oh, yeah, all right.
All right, hard success. This is a man who knows how to handle his. So, you drink until you fall asleep. Thankfully, you're not too hungover the next morning, although the shrill sound of the phone ringing that wakes you up is still painful, nonetheless, as it pierces your skull.
Yeah. Jack rolls out of bed, or off the couch, rather, grabs the phone. Roy and Cassidy, private detectives, how can I help you?
Hello there. Is that Ed Roy?
No, Mr. Roy is out for the foreseeable future, couple days. This is Mr. Cassidy.
Mr. Cassidy. Okay. Well, Mr. Cassidy, my name is Charlie Sundstrom. I'm the city editor of the Gazette. The Daily Gazette?
No, I'm not one much for the papers, but understood. What can I do for you?
Right. Well, listen, seeing as Mr. Roy's indisposed, I don't suppose you'd be able to take on a case right now. Why don't you come down to the Gazette sometime this afternoon and we could talk about it?
Yeah, I've got a lot going on, he says as he kind of looks around with nothing to do.
Well, I have the money to pay you. It's quite an important job. You see, one of my reporters, he was murdered.
Oh. Well, that is, I'm sorry to hear about him, but that is certainly something worth investigating. Tell you what, just give me an address, I'll jot it down here, and a time, and I'll be there.
Sure thing. It's just off the corner of Union, and he begins to give you the address. Does Jack Cassidy waste any time making his way down to the Daily Gazette? It's sort of close to the French Quarter in New Orleans.
I think, there's he doesn't exactly rush, but he goes around, grabs his things, kind of gets everything together, probably debates on whether he's going to take his service weapon or not, but, decides to. Tries to make his suit a little more presentable, likely just standing in a steaming room next to the shower, hoping that would help, and then heads over.
Yeah, this might be a good point, actually. We didn't completely go through in character creation your equipment. With games like this, I kind of just like to say anything that you would kind of reasonably have, that's not too crazy. You can jot down on the character sheet there, whether that's, things along the lines of having a camera, although you'd want to be keeping that in the car, and of course your 38 revolver and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think the scope of the things he'd actually carry on him would be like a notebook, fountain pen, his service weapon, and probably a flask. But beyond that, a little bit of cash, petty cash, but he's pretty broke, so not much.
Yeah.
At that.
It should actually say on your character sheet, based off your credit score, how much cash you have on you at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's really, really low too.
It's probably like $10 or something.
Yeah. It is just switching to possessions. Yeah, it's just $20.
$20. There you go. Not too bad.
But yeah, after getting his things together for a little while, he would, once he's outside, he would make his way over quickly.
So, it's probably about 2 p.m. as we cut now to the inside of the offices of the New Orleans Daily Gazette. There's a young woman at the front desk, there to greet you. I guess give me an appearance roll as you wander in.
First fail.
Ooh, what did you roll?
59 versus 40.
So she, this young woman behind the desk kind of gives you kind of looks down her nose as she looks you up and down. She says, yes, can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Detective, Jack Cassidy. I have an appointment.
Oh, one moment. And she picks up the phone. Hello, Mr. Sundstrom? Yes, that's right. Mr... She leans into you.
Cassidy.
Cassidy. Of course. Of course. Of course. And she hangs up and stands up from her desk and says, come with me, please. And she begins to lead you through the offices of the Daily Gazette. It's Sunday afternoon, so people are rushing like crazy. There's yelling, phones are ringing. There's a rush to get Monday morning's edition to the presses. But she leads you through the chaos into a cozy office kind of at the back center of the building. The doors open a crack, and inside you can see a desk and make out the figure of a kind of a thick-set man, kind of tinkering with a typewriter. And he doesn't look up to his desk to address you. He just sort of shouts out from behind his work saying, thank you, Suzanne. That'll be all. And then as she leaves and shuts you in, he leans up a moment from the broken typewriter, ink all over his hands and tie. He says, goes to shake your hand, but then sort of thinks twice about it. So, Charlie.
Yeah, Jack takes off his hat and coat, tosses it over his arm, and also went to shake and pulls his hand back as the other guy does. But smiles at him. Jack Cassidy, we spoke briefly on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. I don't suppose you know how to fix these things, do you? He points to the typewriter.
I've had one or two run-ins with him, but I can give it a try. I'm no engineer or mechanic or anything, but I'm fairly handy.
Sure. Give me I'd say mechanic. Give me a mechanical repair roll, please, as you try and figure out what's going on with this thing.
Failure of 11 versus 10.
Oh,
right on the mark.
I mean, it's pretty inconsequential, but you could spend a point of luck to make that a success if you wanted to.
I will bear that in mind in the future, but I think this one's a little more amusing if I make his typewriter worse.
Yeah, you just end up with ink now kind of all over your hands. He's just sort of, as you kind of begin fiddling with it, he's like, okay. And just sort of, gestures for you to get away. I'll get to that later. He sort of wipes his hands on a little cloth on the desk and pulls out a cigarette. And he points to a large manila envelope on the desk. And he says, grab that there, would you?
Yeah. Pulls out his handkerchief, does the same, wipe his hands off. Pick up the envelope, open it up. Is this the case?
It's thick. It's packed full of notebooks. About 3 notebooks in there. He says, that's the notebooks are one of my reporters. Peter Gavin is his name. Now, I think he was murdered after stumbling onto some kind of conspiracy.
Murdered, you say? Well, what kind of conspiracy did he stumble upon?
Well, he was working on a story. It's a series about the organizers of one of the organizers of this year's Mardi Gras celebrations, all from the upper echelons of New Orleans society. About a week ago, he got excited, telling me he was onto something. It was light on details, except to say he reckoned that this one crew was involved in the occult. They called the most honorable crew of swords.
Most honorable crew of swords. The occult, like Satanism, witchcraft?
Well, I mean, I guess that kind of thing, yeah. It's all in the notebooks, but I mean, be careful. The fellas mentioned in those notes, the ones that run the crew of swords, they're mostly rich and influential, respected businessmen and pillars of society. I mean, they're not the kind that would usually go around killing newspaper reporters.
Oh, well, you'd be surprised. Never can tell.
There's also that, you see, there's that drawing in there. Well, I made a little copy of it.
Yeah, he flips to the drawing and pulls it out, looks it over.
Yeah, there's a loose piece of paper just sent it to you there in black and white. It's sort of like 3 what look kind of like little tentacles spiraling out from a circle in the middle. Yeah, he had that on him when he was found. The cops attached no significance to the drawing in Peter's hand, but I reckoned the guy who stuffed it into it, I'm sure he knows plenty. He takes up his glasses and begins kind of rubbing his eyes.
Any idea who that might be? Like, I wouldn't guess that you would know who killed your boy, but...
No.
I mean, you did mention this crew. You got any names?
Oh, yeah. All in the notebooks there. There's 3 of them. Yeah, and as you sort of flip through the notes, let me share this. It mentions 3 people.
Chet Creighton, Dennis Bouchard, and Randall Fowler.
That's right. We got addresses, names, everything in there. So Chet Creighton, he's more of an oil roughneck. He kind of struck it big 7 years ago. Became a millionaire overnight. Dennis Bouchard, he's the chairman. And then Randall Fowler, he owns a couple of shipping companies and railroads. I have no idea about the significance of that picture. In his book there, he mentions 2 fellas who were, I guess, big cheeses when it comes to the occult and that kind of thing. One of them is what's his name? Etienne Marigny. He's supposed to be, an expert in that kind of thing. I wrote him a letter. He reckons that signs some kind of occult thing, but said he didn't have the time to look into it. He's heading out of town, work on some other job or something. The other fella, Francois Avedon, he owns this antique shop not far from here in the French Quarter. I have no idea whether Gavin got in touch with him or not. I guess I should say, I'll give you all the help I can. Newspaper clippings, you can mention my name when talking to the police and whatnot. But, if you find yourself on the wrong side of these people, as I said, they're kind of influential. And, or the other side of the law. I mean, you get no further help from me. Do you understand?
I understand.
I guess on that note, I should say something that kind of muddies the water a little bit. The police, so they don't actually think it was a murder at all. According to them, Peter Gavin apparently jumped to his death from the roof of a building on the university campus, the Tulane University campus, killed himself. Takes another drag of his cigarette. Yeah, right.
I mean, not to be blunt, but, are you sure he didn't commit suicide? Is he just not the type, or?
I don't believe it. He's not the type. No, he's not the type at all. And the interview, your conversation's kind of interrupted as a young reporter kind of knocks on the desk and opens up the door. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Sundstrom, can I ask you a question about the?" And he just puts up his finger. It's like, busy. Sorry. No, and sort of just gestures him off. He seems like genuinely pretty stressed about this, about Gavin's death. He does genuinely believes that he was killed.
Well, I will say at least there's a lot of notes here. He was thorough, which makes sense for a reporter. Plenty of leads to follow up, and I'm happy to do so. I'll bring you whatever answers I can find, but there's a matter of compensation, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. How does this usually work? Is it daily, lump sum?
Well, I could use a expense account, a little bit of upfront cash, help grease some palms if needed. But I would expect you to reserve payment until I deliver what you're looking for, sir.
Well, how about something like this? I'll give you, what is it, $6 a day? I'll give you a few days up front, and I guess upon completion, Another $100?
Yeah, he tries not to show how excited he is about the idea of, $6 a day and $100. Just kind of nods, fighting back that excitement. Yeah, that sounds about standard. That'll certainly do. I do believe we have ourselves a deal.
Great. I'll get Sue at the front desk to write you a check.
Of course. And listen, if it's any ease to your mind, I will do my best to make sure we find the culprits here. Can't promise justice, that's not exactly my realm, but I'll find you answers.
Answers is all I'm after. The truth.
Jack goes to shake.
And he shakes your hand. You see the black inky spots still stained on his fingers and palms. He says, good luck, Mr. Cassidy. And, Sue at the front desk sorts you out with a little bit of cash. You can put down $24 on your sheet.
All right.
And I'm leaving you with a bit of time, I guess, to go through his notebooks and have a look at that sign. Obviously, it mentions the 3 names of these who run the most honorable crew of swords and a bit of detail about what he was investigating exactly. And then, of course, this gives the names and home addresses of this Etienne Laurent de Marigny, this occult expert who, although was Sundstrom seemed to say was going out of town, and of course Francois Avedon, the other one who Gavin believed was some sort of local expert on the occult. So there's the address for Avedon's antique shop in the French Quarter, the Avedon Antiquarian Gallery. The notes state that Gavin had this intent to consult these men regarding the strange symbol, but it's unclear whether he met with Avedon. About the 3 members, there's a bit of info about Chet Creighton. Well, the notes themselves say Chet Creighton in Peter Gavin's handwriting. Oil roughneck who struck it big 7 years ago. Became a millionaire overnight. Tough guy. Hard to get along with. Holy smokes temper. Criminal record, no surprise. Sticks out like a sore thumb with his high society folks. Beware of Barbara. His latest venture is a new rig in the swamps outside Houma, dubbed the Black Tower Field. What is it? Why so far from N.O., New Orleans? Dennis Bouchard is the chairman. He writes, this should be interesting. Holds old money, all in sound investments. In New Orleans since 1700. Has a home in the fashionable Garden District. Happy-go-lucky playboy type. Compulsive gambler, collector of fine antiques. Has a police record. Couple of charges of reckless driving and public drunkenness. But quashed by his lawyers. Never seriously prosecuted in any event. And then the last one is probably the most interesting. He writes, Randall Fowler, quiet, still in mourning for his wife and daughter. He owns a couple of shipping companies and railroads. Family used to be named LaFleur, changed after the Civil War. Apparently LaFleur's ancestors had a reputation as slave traders, possibly including white indentures. Wife and daughter killed 1.5 years ago in hit and run. Unsolved. And there's some obituary clippings in there. And then he goes on to write, Fowler has been getting in touch with some guy. Papa Screech? Voodoo Man? Sounds spooky. RF's spirit guide, in touch with his wife and kids. Is this a scam? ? Bilking him out of hundreds or even thousands of dollars with spiritualist mumbo jumbo. He also mentions about a warehouse as well. Yellow designs, workers seem shifty. Warehouse, what a dump. More decorations. Are these swamp folk? Why do these things glow? And it says, D. Marigny is the man I need to see. Haven't caught up with him yet. If anyone knows, it'll be him. If not DM Avedon? ? Yeah.
Yeah, Jack reads through everything. While he does so, he flips out his own small notebook and starts making kind of quicker, concise notes. Looks through it all. There's a lot of leads here. But kind of circles Avedon's antique shop. Mumbles to himself. Good a place to start as any.
Yeah. The antique shop is only a couple of blocks from there in the French Quarter. And as you pull up this Sunday afternoon, it's large, it's airy, It's gleaming with polished wood, as you can see through the window. You can see a few items, furniture, weapons, sculptures, jewelry, paintings, all kinds of stuff. It seems to be targeted more towards the high end as far as the quality goes.
Yeah, I think again Jack tries to brush himself off, look a little less, frumpy and rumpled. Probably tucks his I'm blanking on that word. Tucks his handkerchief into his coat pocket, try to make himself a little bit more presentable, and would step inside and start browsing.
Yeah, give me either an appearance or a credit rating roll as you walk in.
Another failure, 51 versus 40.
Yeah. Immediately, this large, dark-haired man makes his way towards you as soon as you open the door, and kind of looks you up and down. He says, good morning. May I help you?
Yeah, well, I was interested in kind of looking around your shop here. It looks like you have quite a few interesting things, but no need to waste time. You Mr. Avedon?
No. My name is Rodrigo. Rodrigo Vargas. I am Mr. Avedon's partner.
Mr. Vargas offers a handshake. I am Detective Jack Cassidy. I was hoping to speak with your partner a bit, but perhaps you can help me.
Yes, I'll do what I can. Mr. Avedon is not in today.
Well, perhaps you can answer a few questions for me if you're feeling so inclined, and I can return tomorrow and speak with Mr. Avedon.
Yes, of course. Any questions you have, I'll do my best to help.
All right. Well, you say you're his business partner, so I feel you and Mr. Avedon are probably quite well acquainted. I won't mince my words. I'm here investigating a case of a poor man who met his untimely demise. Perhaps you might know something about this. This symbol here was found on, again, the departed gentleman. To my understanding, you and your partner know a bit about these kind of things, and we'll show him the symbol.
Avedon is more of the expert on this kind of thing than myself. I'm more in the business of valuing antiques. But he was... who's this man? This gentleman came in a few days ago. He was asking about this symbol and looking for a book. What was this French play, The King in Yellow. We did not have it in the shop, so Avedon was going to check his personal library for a copy. But, he hasn't come back. He's been sick since.
Fair enough. Is this a fairly rare play? Something difficult to find?
Yes, Avedon seemed to think so, but he was under the impression that he might have a copy in his personal library.
Well, I would be interested in following up on that young man's inquiry, as I do believe we're talking about the deceased. Mr. Avedon be partial to a house call?
Give me I'm going to say a persuasion, unless there's another skill you think might be more appropriate.
Okay, I think persuasion makes sense. Yeah, and he's real good at it. That's a 76 versus 10, another failure.
He says, I might be able to give him a call, but I am not in the business of, no offense, handing out the home address of my employer.
Oh, I understand. That would be problematic if you just handed the address out to anyone who walked on the streets. But as I said, I am a detective. I would appreciate if you made that call. Just do what you can.
Yes, one moment. And he, goes sort of back behind the desk and grabs a phone and begins to dial, leaving you, alone to kind of flick through have a look through the shop. It's full of lots of things of sort of like Native and Central American origin. Some of the price tags and some of the things are from the hundreds upwards to like thousands. Very expensive stuff.
Yeah, Jack wouldn't touch anything. But he would start looking around to see if anything caught his eye that might have a similar symbol or just have like an occultish look about it, as that's something that's been mentioned a couple times, and he has no experience with the occult.
Yeah, give me a power roll.
Ah, there we go. 49 versus 50. Success on that one.
As you're sort of looking around, one of the things you find that seems to be interesting, it's like a little half-scale brass bust of a strange kind of head. Hard to say exactly what it is, but this brass head kind of has a human-like face, but with tentacles in place of a mouth and nose.
What's the price tag on it? I assume exorbitantly high.
Roll me 1d20.
That's a 9.
So it is $90.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, feeling fairly drawn towards this and probably just being a little bit creeped out by it. I think Jack starts mumbling to himself, like, who the hell would make this? And just starts sketching it in his notebook as he sees that $90, one, he can't afford it, and two, he probably wouldn't. That he is no thief.
Rodrigo Vargas puts down the phone and says, walks over to you and says, I'm afraid I cannot reach him, but I can try again later and leave a message if there's something you would like me to say. He must be quite sick, actually. Maybe I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I do hope he recovers quickly. I'll just give you the number to my office, and you can ring if anything does come up. If he comes by or if you speak to him, just let him know what I talked with you about. And I most certainly would like to procure that book. But how about this? If you don't hear from him by tomorrow, and you are quite concerned for his well-being, I'm more than happy to offer my services. As I said, I am a detective.
I will keep that in mind, Mr. Cassidy, was it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Cassidy.
I will keep that in mind.
Well, I would say thank you for your time, but I do want to ask you, what is this about? And he points at the small bust. Seems like it must have a story.
He sort of raises an eyebrow and says, I believe it has some significance with cultists who used to be in this area some time ago. Maybe 20 years, I think. I'm not particularly familiar with the story, but, well, it was quite horrific, I'm told.
Well, I might have to look into that myself. I'm fairly new to town. I wouldn't know too much about these things. But, well, involved with a cult.
Yeah.
How did it come to be within your shop here? Any idea?
Oh, Mr. Avedon is a collector of these things. I imagine it found its way into the police, and we find all sorts of things. Yeah, I believe it was something to do with swamp communities in the south of the city. Yeah, perhaps some kind of voodoo.
Yeah, I mean, he just, like, raises an eyebrow at the mention of voodoo. You know, cults, he's like, okay, that I hear, but voodoo? Really, man? But nonetheless, you know, makes a couple notes. Well, I thank you for being so forthcoming, and I appreciate your time, sir. Like I said, if you hear from your associate or you require my services, please give me a call. And writes down his number, rips it out of his notebook, and hands it over.
Of course. And yeah, he takes the paper from you and sort of folds it up neatly, and sort of gives you a phony kind of customer service smile.
Yeah. Well, you have yourself a fine evening.
You too.
Yeah, Jack will head out of the shop, and when he gets in his car, kind of sit for a minute and go over his notes. Probably finds himself finishing off that little sketch, a little creeped out by it. Writes in the margins around it, like, cult, 20 years ago, swamp community, voodoo, with a big question mark. And looks back through his notes from before, trying to decide where to go next.
Yeah. So you have the names and home addresses of these 3 members of the crew of swords. You have the also some notes on the warehouse and the address of the warehouse where you assume they're making the decorations for their upcoming sort of Mardi Gras float. You also have, that the university, Tulane University, is where where the body was found, where he supposedly killed himself.
Yeah, I think Jack spends a minute kind of looking things over. Again, kind of mumbles to himself. I want to follow up with these names, but be a waste of time if I got nothing to go on. Maybe the university be a good place to start. And it's been a few days, right?
Yes, so it's Sunday. His body was found on Saturday morning.
Okay, all right.
And it was, he seemed to come in the shop on the Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Jack would head over to the university hoping to pick up some kind of clues or anything that might be left behind, even though it's been about a day.
Yeah, of course. It's Sunday, so the university campus is pretty quiet. There aren't too many people around as you walk in. Give me, I guess, a spot hidden as you're as you approach this university, trying to find sort of the general area where there may be a crime scene or where there was a crime scene.
All right, here's hoping. This is actually one of his skills. Still fail. 57 versus 50. Yeah.
Would you like to spend some luck, or are you just going to go in and speak to someone?
I would on that one. No, I think on that one, let's spend a bit of luck. Let's see. Can you remind me exactly how that works? Do I reduce it by 7?
Yeah, you want to spend 7 points of luck to bring that down to a success, to 50. So you just want to edit your sheet and reduce your luck score total by 7.
All right. So we are down from 40 to 33.
Cool. As you sort of walk in and sort of have a look around and you're kind of looking at the buildings and stuff, one thing that catches your eye is you see a groundskeeper kind of working on freshly spaded garden, this little sort of garden plot, kind of in the middle of not too close to some buildings, but he's sort of, freshly laying this grass out, and you can actually see near that area. It's been removed now, but just a little bit of yellow tape that was once taped around this whole area.
Yeah. Jack would absolutely, seeing that in the, the freshly replaced lawn, gotta make his way over to the groundskeeper. He's not gonna march up he's not gonna cop knock him basically. But he'll saunter over. You seem to be hard at work there, sir. What happened to your fine lawn?
You didn't hear. It's kind of gruesome.
Oh, was there a death? Is that is this where that poor lad went down? Kind of looks around.
That's right, yeah. Jumped from all the way up there, they say, and managed to launch himself all the way down into this here garden bed.
Jumped? Interesting.
Yes, sir.
How did he get his way up there? Is it common that you got students and people walking around on the rooftops?
No, sir. But, if some man is determined enough to take his own life and wants to figure out a way to get up there, I'm sure he can find a way.
So he stops, he's sort of reseating for a moment and lights up a cigarette.
Yeah, Jack will light a cigarette as well, and kind of looks at him, looks at the area, takes a minute to look around, make sure nobody's paying too much attention. Pull the flask out of his pocket and offer it to the guy. Take a quick swig and offer it to the guy.
Oh.
You seem like you could use a bit of a pick-me-up. This does seem like hard work.
He kind of looks around. He's like,
You ain't a cop?
Oh, Lord, no, not anymore.
And he sort of grabs the flask off you. Give me an intelligence roll.
No problem. 90 versus 70. I got the dice ghost, bro.
No, that's fine. He's just sort of, has a swig and sort of passes it back to you. It says,
I'm afraid I wasn't around to see the body at the time, but the physics professor, Mr. Tournier, he saw the body. told everything he knew to the police. He might be of more help than I can be.
Well, that is interesting to know. Poor man, if he saw that happen, I feel for him, but where would his offices be? I might go around and just see how he's doing.
Physics department is just down there. You might be lucky enough to catch him before he leaves.
Yeah, I will do that.
Thanks again for the drink, mister.
No worries. Nice looking lawn you got here. Good work you're doing. Before I rush over there, this roof up here, there access in this building? Easy way to get up there? I might want to look around myself. Don't worry, I won't be falling.
Give me a persuade or a fast talk.
Okay. Yeah, my luck continues. That's a 67. Fail.
He kind of shrugs and he says,
I'm afraid once faculty is locked up, I'm not really allowed to let anyone in and out of there. But if you come back during school hours, you might be able to take a better look around.
Yeah, I appreciate your help. Thank you, sir. I fully understand. I wouldn't want to do anything that might get you in any trouble. You have yourself a fine evening. And again, your lawn is looking wonderful. You're doing good work here.
Thank you, sir.
and you see the physics department as you kind of head over. It's open. Most of the lights are off. There's a few lecture halls, but you see one of the office lights kind of down the hall. It's clearly on, and the office door open.
Yeah. Again, Jack will try to kind of straighten himself up and try to make a better impression this time. And walk up and knock on the door. Even if it's open, he'll take the moment to knock.
Yeah, you see this this older, late 50s gentleman behind a desk with a bunch of papers. He's with a pen, sort of going through and doing some marking, and he kind of looks up.
Oh, yes. Can I help you?
Yeah. Hello, Professor. I am apologies, I am Detective Jackson Cassidy. And I was hoping to bend your ear a little bit.
Oh, this is about the death? I did already speak with the police. Told them everything I knew.
Yeah, we're just being thorough. I'm not affiliated with the local police. It's more of a private matter. Interested parties. And again, if you could just go back through kind of what you told the police, that would be immensely helpful to me. Anything you might have thought of since then, even.
Well, I was pretty clear in telling them in no uncertain terms that in my opinion he did not jump from that building. Not a chance. I saw where the body landed. The deepest impression in the sod was nearly 6 inches. And look, I spent 2 years helping design and test parachutes for the Great War. An impact of nearly 6 inches is impossible from a fall of only 4 stories. And the trajectory itself, no, it didn't come from that building. That's nearly a 30-foot jump. So unless Mr. Gavin was a broad jumper, then, I don't know, he must have fallen out of an airplane.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Could it be that he was thrown?
By what exactly?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the question I'm interested in finding out myself. I'm just asking you, one soldier to another. We can be honest with each other. You see any strange folk around that day?
No, I did not. I saw the body in the morning just lying there. But listen, regardless of how strange a folk may be, no man possesses the strength to throw another man that far and that high.
Interesting. So you're saying, with that distance and arc and with that, was it 6 inches, take an immense amount of force, much more so than he would have fallen with.
That's precisely what I'm saying, yes.
And you shared this with the police? What'd they say?
Well, I don't know. It seems to me like the police only had one possible outcome in their mind and didn't really want to hear anything else.
Of course, I understand. Well, that is certainly quite strange. Anything else you noticed that was a little odd about the whole thing? I mean, other than a man falling from the sky.
He had a note in his hand. Nothing else springs to mind.
Yeah, was it this note? He pulls out, the notebooks that, he knows it is the note, but he kind of wants to show it to him and see what his reaction is.
that's exactly correct. Yes. How did?
Strange symbol. Not anything I ever seen before, and I know your realm is physics, but does it look like anything to you other than some scribbles?
Well, I wish I could say I'd seen it before, but no, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, I was gonna have a look at that roof, see if there's anything I could find up there, but after what you've told me, I'm not sure he ever was on the roof. Still, it's a difficult thing to explain.
Certainly most curious, yes.
Well, granted, I'm no scientist. You, sir, as a professor of physics, would there be any kind of explanation that you could come to, even a little far-fetched, that might be able to put some sense to this?
Well, I mean, if you want an answer, I guess it's certainly not outside the realms of possibilities that he fell from an airplane mid-flight. Perhaps he got caught up in the wrong crowd and was tossed down.
Alright, well, I mean, just that in itself, seems a little more likely based off what you were saying than he decided to jump from a roof in the middle of investigation. You have been more than helpful, sir, and I appreciate your time. Anything else you might think is worth noting?
Well, nothing that immediately springs to mind, I'm afraid.
Alright, I'll tell you what, and again, he jots down the number to his office, where he doesn't even have a secretary to take calls, but jots down the number for his office, and hands it to him, and just says, if you do think of anything at all that, might help with this case, we do really want to find out what happened to this poor man, feel free to call me.
Will do, Mr. Cassidy, was it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson Cassidy. I won't take any more of your time. Looks like you got a lot of paper sprayed there. Thank you, sir. Tips his cap.
Okay. Well, best of luck with the investigation.